All right, guys. We're going to be talking about how to cut today because so for background, I work at a Planet Fitness. And so you get a lot of people who maybe don't have the greatest idea about what they're doing in the gym, particularly when it comes to finding the balance between your diet and your exercise regimen to make lasting compositional changes to your body. And today, just want to talk a little bit about that and try to help anybody out there who is struggling. Just with this is the general overview. If you have specific ideas or questions about your certain case, just let me know in the comments or DM me, and I can definitely take these general tenets and apply it to your specific situation. All right. So we got the first tenet is a caloric deficit. Now, you're not going to be able to cut if you're not in a caloric deficit. This is simply basic thermodynamics. Anybody who's taken a physics class or something like that can attest to this. If you're not producing more energy than you're consuming or absorbing, then you're not going to get smaller. Like you're not your body isn't going to shrink. You're going to continue to grow. You're going to stay the same size. And I don't mean losing muscle. I just mean losing weight. So for a caloric deficit, there's a few things you need to do. First thing, check your weight, whatever your weight might be. So I started out on my cut that I'm on now at probably 210 pounds. Um, and I'm back down now to about 190 pounds. So I've gone down about 20 pounds. I still want to go down about another maybe 5 to 10 pounds to go down to the 180 to 185 range. Um, but that leads me to my next piece here, which is to set a target weight. So once you're able to set that target weight and compare it to your starting weight, you can use a calorie calculator. Basic, just look it up on Google. Type in your height, your weight, and then like your target weight, your typical activity levels during the week, like how often do you exercise, what kind of job do you have, and it'll give you a good idea of how many calories you should be eating. Also, depending on what type of diet you want to try to maintain, and how fast you want to lose weight as well. And so I think for most people though, you should probably be planning for something around a 500 calorie deficit per day. So for example, if my daily caloric maintenance level is 3,000 calories, which is about what it is right now, maybe it's a little bit less. I should be about 2,500 calories. Now, if you're a little bit above or below that, that's okay. It just might take a little bit longer, or you might be a little bit faster. Just depends. um, And just to talk with these background pictures a little bit, this is me on the news when I was in eighth grade, and you can see the difference. Like I was really out of shape. I was probably 260 pounds then. It's kind of hard to tell in this picture, but trust me, like it's not like zoomed out. Like it's not like stretch res. I'm just fat as shit to me now. And this was all done so. Like it's not totally self trained, I guess, but like um I didn't have coaches or anything like that, like training me on how to do this kind of stuff. I learned this all on my own. Um, but that just shows you can make the difference. It takes time, but yeah, you can absolutely get it done. But I just want to talk generally about your training. I would say about 4 to 6 times a week is probably good. Maybe for an hour to an hour and a half a week. I mean, hour to hour and a half a day. You can do a split of your choice. That I like for losing weight. Like doesn't really matter. Like I'll make another video about talking about like what ways you can train, especially when it comes to specifically weight training, um, and bodybuilding. And so yeah, you can really do a split of your choice. Be push pull legs, be the bro split. It could be a full body split, whatever you want. I mean, just as long as it's backed by some kind of um, at least like either theoretical science or more hopefully like experimental. So like this has been done over decades of time. It's well known. And I would say for when you're cutting, especially focus on your reps. Focus on controlled reps because it can be a little bit easier to injure yourself when you're a little bit more tired. You're not as stable necessarily, and people still try to do the same weight. You want to do generally the same weight that you were doing when you were maintaining or on a bulk a little bit, but like your strength's going to go down a little bit. Like if you're doing a decent cut, it happens, but that's fine. That's okay. Um, and so I would really advise you to focus on your reps and controlling them and getting that full stretch and making sure the eccentric is nice and slow, stuff like that. And just to limit your injury risk and maximize your hypertrophic outcomes. So like just getting the most out of every rep. Um, it's going to be the best for you on your cut, and it's also going to make sure that your intensity is not too much so that you don't start feeling dizzy or passing out or anything like that. This is not Diamond Gym. This is absolutely not Diamond Gym. So the last piece here, and the piece that everybody always hates the most, but it has to be done if you want to cut in a reasonable amount of time, is cardio. I would say probably about 4 to 5 times a week. Something around 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes a day. And your heart rate should be around 50 to 85% of your max. And you can find your max by taking a calculator and doing 220 minus your age. And then you can mess around with different heart ranges. Like you could do like 140 divided by 200 for me since I'm 20 years old. And then you can find out what percentage of your max is at 140 BPM. But yeah, I would say probably somewhere around like 65 to 70%. Like 50% is probably little bit too easy. Like it's not going to feel like you're doing much. Um, but like moderate intensity cardio 4 to 5 times a week for 20 to 30 minutes is probably going to get the job done. And like I said, they should be challenging but not insane. Like you should not be dying. Like I used to do this. I used to be like fucking dead on the treadmill or the elliptical or whatever. People look at me like I'm some kind of insane person. Um, but no, you should really be focusing on just making sure it's not super easy, but like you're not gonna be like totally wasted after like you just hit legs every day or something like that. And final thoughts here. Everything I just talked about does not matter if you're not consistent. And this is what I always tell people. Like, this is the most important thing when somebody new comes into the gym and they ask me about like, oh, yo, bro, how did you put in all that size? How did you get in shape? I'm like, okay, like, yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of stuff on social media about like, oh, this is the best exercise. Like, this angle is better to do your incline bench at than this angle. Like, and that all might be true, but the difference is pretty small. Like, yep, there is a difference, but it's just pretty minute in comparison to things like consistency. If you're not consistent with your diet and your lifting regimen, but especially your diet, um, it's not gonna matter. None of that, none of those little nuances about all that are gonna matter. It literally won't do anything for you. So, like I said, nothing happens if you're not in the gym. You're not gonna put on muscle if you're not lifting weight. You're not gonna maintain your muscle if you're not lifting those weights, even on the days when it's hard. And weight and you're not gonna lose weight if you're not hitting your cardio 4 to 5 times a week and sticking to your diet. And like I said, weight isn't lost unless deficit is achieved and maintained. You have to be in the caloric deficit, and it has to be maintained. You can't just hit it once or a couple days a week, and then the other days you're cheating on your diet and you're eating whatever you want. Like you're not going to get anywhere doing that. But like I said, just let me know if you guys have any specific questions or you want clarification on something. You have something to add. I'm always open, and I really want to work with you guys and help people change their lives because I've been able to do it with some of my friends, and they can attest to that. And I've been able to do it with my own life, and I can really help you out if you are really willing to put in the work. And I mean seriously putting in the work, not saying, "Oh, I'm the hardest worker." Everyone says the hardest worker. Not everyone is the hardest worker. I need you to genuinely be focused and ready to put in the time and the effort that it takes to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. But again, let me know, and I'll be open to listening.